Hello listeners, Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello listeners, and welcome back to the Nighttime Podcast's listener-contributed Encounters with Creeps series. If you're new to this, I'm Jordan Bonaparte, and Encounters with Creeps is a series in which my pal Madelanye Klein and I provide nighttime listeners a platform to share their many unpleasant experiences with people they consider to be creeps. Tonight, Madelanye and I are going to present the 15th volume of listener-contributed Encounters with Creeps. We're going to hear stories about the dark side of working as a princess on one of Disney's theme parks. We're going to have banana bread forever ruined. We'll travel to Santiago to hear about an erect Chilean. We got a whole bunch more. So let's not waste any time here. Let's get into another round of your Encounters with Creeps. Mrs. Madelanye Klein, I'm happy to be with you today. How are you over there?
I'm good. I'm just living my best mat leave life, and yeah, life's good.
Of all the places to spend mat leave, you choose Regina, Saskatchewan.
I didn't choose anything. It was I don't know why my parents decided this was a nice place to raise a family, and then I ended up marrying some guy from here that didn't want to move. I still want to move to New Brunswick, and he won't budge, and now we have a baby. So he's like, well, we can't move now.
Regina is often described as like the armpit of the country. Is that true?
Yeah. Like everywhere you go, there's like a bear spray incident.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. So we have a brand new, beautiful pool that opened up last summer. That got bear sprayed opening day. Our mall has been bear sprayed a couple times.
What is got bear sprayed? Is that just someone brings bear spray and just sprays it in the air and it just irritates everyone's eyes?
That's correct. And then the place is evacuated.
What an awful thing.
What else? The exhibition, I believe, last year at one point got bear sprayed. I worked at a bar years ago and it got...
Let me guess. It got bear sprayed.
It did, coincidentally, on the opening night of another bar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Suspicious?
I thought so, but...
Like
Regina.
A gang,
you never know.
Organized crime bear spraying their competing bars. Either way, I hope it gets better for the sake of you and your family.
Me too.
Well, it's not going to get any better tonight because we have a dark topic, a dark collection of topics to get into, but one that we always find some joy in. We're going to be unpacking our 15th volume of listener-contributed Encounters with Creeps. And I'll tell you, I don't know what happened here, but this thing is like out of control. I've gotten more creep encounter stories sent to me via nighttimepodcast.com/contact in the last 3 days than I probably have in the 3 weeks prior to that. And they're from all over the world. It's all different types of stories. And man, this thing is getting wild. And we got our work cut out for us tonight because I'll tell you, there are some doozies in here.
I'm excited. Maybe it was I know it was a couple weeks ago, but maybe it was the eclipse. Maybe an eclipse is like a super full moon and weird things happen.
Yeah. Well, speaking of weird things happening lately, we always start this show off with a bit of an appetizer, something I like to call a contemporary creep, a modern day creep who's found their way into the news. And man, there's one that I came across and I cannot wait to get your take on this. This is a news story that we'll call Brent's Awful Miserable Tinder Matchup, and it involves a Winnipeg man who took a chance on a woman he matched with on Tinder. The date ends up ending abruptly when he realizes that the woman waiting for him is not the same woman he saw in the photos. He knew something was up, so he left. But the trouble just starts there. There are so many layers to this story, you may want to have a pen and paper to take notes, because you're going to have a lot to say about it. Here comes Brent's awful, miserable, terrible Tinder match.
One very brief date turned into a years-long nightmare for one Winnipeg man.
I was lost. I was crying. I was so confused. I didn't know what was going on.
In 2016, Brent Marsh met a woman on the dating app Tinder. When he went to meet up with her at Polo Park, He says he knew something wasn't right.
She used the same name, her first name, but did not have the same picture. So my stomach dropped instantly.
He says he quickly ended the date. Fast forward to 2018, Marsh received some online messages, but he did not see the woman again until 2019, when she showed up at his apartment.
Standing there in a trench coat, huffing aerosol, and I was just like immediately like, oh, it's you.
Over the course of the next few years, court documents show the woman made 22 false claims to police about Marsh stalking and sexually harassing her. One of those came while the accused was in a psychiatric ward, which the police discounted, but on other occasions, Marsh was taken into custody. In 2022, the accused said she was sexually assaulted at Club Regent Casino. Marsh was taken to jail. Video evidence showed the two had no interaction that night.
I was freaking out. Nothing was told to me. I was just yanked out of my house.
Days later, another false allegation, another arrest. Police then visited his house again 3 more times over the next few months, ordering him to stay away from the woman. Then another arrest, this time during a traffic stop where his vehicle was impounded.
And basically did the same thing, arrested me, and I was like, what for?
The woman got a protection order against him in 2022, but then finally officers looked through the file history and released Marsh.
All it took was him to sit there and go through the files, see what was happening between us, and a lot of this could have been prevented. And
Marsh then made his case to police, who arrested and charged the woman. He's warning people to be careful when dating online and says he hopes his ordeal is over.
Just made me even think, oh, it's such a small city. Is she going to just be everywhere I go now?
Last week, 34-year-old Jennifer Plants pleaded guilty to criminal harassment and assault. She received 15 months of house arrest with 3 years of unsupervised probation. We reached out to her attorney, but did not hear back by airtime.
Where do you start with that? That is, I hope that guy sues that police force, because if his version of the story is accurate, what the hell are they doing?
You know, I've heard that one of the only worst police forces there is, other than Regina's, is Winnipeg's. I have heard they are just useless.
Well, it sounds like this guy, according to this story, he has like no contact with her aside from this first date gone wrong years ago. Yet the police are arresting him, taking him into custody, taking his car.
Just taking her word for it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she successfully gets a peace bond, and that's not something that you just like ask for and they give you. Like, there's often like there's a bit of back and forth before you get a peace bond. She managed to do that.
Well, like, don't you need like concrete evidence, like text messages and voicemails to get some sort of peace bond, restraining order, whatever? That's that poor guy.
I know if the story is true, and I have no reason to doubt his side of it. You can hear how agitated he is, because in the news clip, it's like usually there's this smooth cut from like the guest talks, it ends, and then the reporter starts talking. But in this, it keeps cutting him off because he's like flipping out.
It's one run-on sentence.
Yeah, because according to him, this starts in like 2016 with like a catfish kind of situation. He goes to meet this girl that he thinks is whoever from that pretty photo on Tinder.
Well, I was waiting for like she used an old photo. No. She used like a completely different photo. And I want to know what these people, because this is not like a one-off story. Lots of people use false photos. And I just don't understand. Like, like how long do you think this is going to go on for? Do you think you have that shining of a personality that the person you matched with is going to just disregard the fact you don't look anything like your profile photo?
Yeah. Well, whatever she thought was going to happen the day she met with him is one thing. What did she think was going to happen a year later when she showed up at his house inhaling aerosol?
That is like, stalking someone is one thing, but showing up in a trench coat and huffing aerosol, that's just... Yeah,
that is unhinged.
This is a good story for right now because it really reminded me of the show Baby Reindeer, about a guy that's
I haven't heard it, but I hear people saying it's like Nighttime's Creep Encounters, the story on Netflix.
Yeah, like I'm not done it yet. I'm on episode 5, and it got really dark really fast. Like at first it was kind of like, oh, like this is like weird and creepy, but I won't say anymore, but that's what that reminded me of, is just like some woman stalking this guy.
Well, I feel bad for this guy. The stalking is one thing. The calling the police and making false police reports is another thing. The police actually taking her word for it and arresting this guy multiple times. That is a whole different level. We wish you the best, Brent. Stay off of Tinder, for God's sakes. It's not worth it. Let's get into our listener contributed section of Creep Encounters. We have some amazing ones tonight. I want to start though with one that I think harkens back to something we discussed last week. If you remember on Encounters with Creeps Volume 14, we heard from Erica, who gave her advice on how to handle creeps that you may encounter when breastfeeding. And in short, her advice is just to stare at them and freak them out. But I don't know if that would work in the case of Eve, who shared with us a story of a creep she encountered while breastfeeding. Here's what happened to Eve.
Hi, my name is Eve, and I wanted to share my encounter with a creep. My daughter was born in late August a few years back, and we decided to take all the kids on vacation for Labor Day. We had gone out to dinner one night while we were on this trip, and I had to nurse the baby in the restaurant. I definitely covered myself. None of my chest was exposed. And the entire time there's a man across the restaurant winking and licking his lips and blowing kisses, which was funny because I was still so humongous, but definitely creepy. And I decided not to share it with my husband until we left because he would no doubt smash him if I told him in the restaurant. So we made it through the evening in one piece, but definitely creepy. Thank you so much.
Awful story, but I like to think about this happening to Erica from last week, or from Volume 14, where like he's like winking and licking his lips, and she's just nursing and just staring him right in the eye, like,
scowling,
bitch.
Erica would have gotten up and gotten into a fight.
Yeah, and the husband, rather than like the husband smashing the guy, the husband would be pulling her off.
Yeah,
but
I just was this guy with his wife?
I'm thinking he was just alone, like with a cup of like coffee that he's been nursing for hours, just staring at women in the restaurant. What a freaky, creepy thing to do.
I'd like to think that I'd publicly shame him. Like from my seat, I'd be like, can you not?
Yeah.
You need to stop this.
Yeah, but he would just deny it, and you would end up looking like this hysterical woman.
That's fine. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last.
I like it. See, I told you, Erica and you are like so similar. You two need to go like nursing together. Just see what happens.
Nursing in public together.
Thank you for sharing that story, Eve. It's disturbing. If you, as a man, if I see a woman breastfeeding in like at the mall or whatever, like, you know, good for them. But I just have enough like self-awareness or whatever, just make sure I'm not going to look at them, or like I'm going to just kind of give them a bit of room. Like if you do anything except give them their space and respect what they're doing, you're a complete creep and an idiot.
Well, I think that's because you're a normal person.
Yeah, I guess so.
And not a creep. So
good. I should have a badge that says that on my
not a creep.
Just a normal person and not a creep. Let's hear about someone who's not a normal person and is certainly a creep. This story comes to us from Krista. She's a cashier who runs into a creepy customer. So naturally, I'll call this story Krista the Cashier's Creepy Customer.
We love alliterations.
Here it comes.
Hi, my name is Krista. I just recently started listening to your show, and I absolutely love it. I am now hooked on it. I'm listening to it all the time while I'm cooking, cleaning, driving, etc. The segment that I particularly like is the one with the encounters of the creeps, and unfortunately, I have quite a few encounters, as most females these days do. One in particular, which was kind of crazy and stands out to me, is actually involving a woman. At the time, I was in my early 20s. I was going to college and I was working at Lowe's. as a cashier, and I'm standing there, I'm checking people out, I'm doing my job, and a lady comes through with some discounted plans. So I say, okay, ring it up. Hi, how are you? How are you doing today? What can I help you with? Find everything you need, etc. At one point, she looks up at me and she smiles. And I smile back because I don't know why she's staring at me, smiling, and says, I have a gift for you. And she hands me this tiny little square package. And I go, oh, thank you so much. And she goes, open it now. Open it. So I open it. And it is a tiny piece of soap. And the inside of the wrapper talks about how the lust of flesh will burn in hell. So I read it and I look at her and I don't know what to say. I go, thanks. And she tells me, you reek of lust and filth, and you're going to burn in hell. Needless to say, I let my managers know, and if she was to come in again, I was to inform them so they could let her know that she could not do things like that. I never saw her again, but it was just a really weird, creepy encounter.
Well, that's a completely different flavor of creep than we've encountered so far in this series.
I'd like to think that I'd be quick enough to be like, that's the best compliment I've ever received. So you think I'm pretty?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's scary because that's the type of person that will like kill you and eat you.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the name of the Lord, because God told her to.
That's a different. So many of the creeps we get have like a sexual tone. This is more like salvation and very scary. Like the part where she's just standing there smiling, and you're like, "Oh, hi! Like, what's up? I have a gift for you. Open it." That's from like I don't know if you know David Lynch, but that's like a scene in like a David Lynch movie or something. And you slowly open the box and reveal like, I don't know, just like a human ear in there.
Someone's ear.
No, in this case, it's a little piece of soap with a note. You stink of lust. It's freaky, man.
And Phil.
Yeah. She tells her manager, and the manager's like, if we see her again, we'll make sure she can't do that. Imagine that conversation. Like, you can't be here you can't come in the store telling our employees that they're damned to hell because of their lust.
Yeah. Well, I actually resonate with this story because I worked at a hardware store in high school.
Okay.
And it not creepy, thank God, but this guy would always come in and leave us a pamphlet that said, Heaven, how do I get in? And my manager she was the best. She was the owner of the store.
Okay.
And she would be like, yeah, don't do this. Like, you can't. No, we don't care. No soliciting. Don't do this. So then he started leaving them in the bathrooms.
Oh.
And she caught on, and she once like chased him out of the store and was like, no soliciting.
Well,
Go away.
She should have changed, like, maybe this would have been a very involved thing to do. But if you could, like, change something in the bathroom so that when they go in the bathroom, you could, like, switch the lights so that the lights go out and just, like, one red light comes on. And just, like, Slayer starts playing. And when he comes out, just be like, really, what happened? What are you doing in there? Get out of the store.
My go-to reply for people like this now, thankfully, I don't have to pull it out often, but it's actually a Simpsons quote. I don't know. Flanders wants to see something, and Homer goes, "This is a meeting of gay witches for abortion. You wouldn't be into it."
Oh God.
So that's what I tell him.
Okay,
this is a house of gay witches for abortion.
I think when someone comes to you with that kind of energy, I think all you can do is just smile and nod and make sure they don't come close to you, because
true.
There's no convincing this lady that what she's doing is wrong.
Like, I don't think Jesus likes when you judge other people.
Let's get on to the next one. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for every story we got tonight, but this one's extra special because I love banana bread. Do you have a thing for banana bread?
I do. I think my mom makes the best banana bread, and every year on my birthday, I ask her to make me banana chocolate chip muffins, and she made me like 60 one year. It was awesome.
Oh, man. You must have felt amazing after eating 60 chocolate banana muffins.
I did.
I like to heat them up and put butter on them, so it makes them just like extra scrumptious.
Absolutely.
Now, your mother may make the best banana bread in your world, but for Pat, the best banana bread is sold from the biggest creep, is sold by the biggest creep in Peterborough, Ontario.
Oh no.
Yeah. Listen to this.
Hello, this is Pat from Peterborough. Encounters with creeps. Hopefully you can use this story. It's a wild one. So there's a bakery in the north end of Peterborough. It's shut down now. But they had like a deli and bakery, and it was a staple of the north end of Peterborough. A lot of people went there. Anyways, we went there so much we would run into the baker in the morning because we would walk down there in the morning. And he really liked my wife. But it was like, you could tell by talking to him within 10 seconds that he was a creep. And anyways, he was really fond of my wife, and he would always come out of the back and chat her up. And she mentioned how much she enjoyed his banana bread that he made. And it was good banana bread. The place made good banana bread. That's why we went there. So anyways, the one morning we go down, my wife's pregnant, and he really he seemed more creepy that he noticed that she was pregnant, and would talk to her more, and I would kind of tease her about it a bit as we walked home. But the one time we went in, and he came running out of the back with a freshly baked loaf of banana bread, and he's like, "Hey, I was waiting for you. I made this just for you." And he gave it to my wife, and it was super awkward. And the lady at the deli, there was tension. I don't know what was going on, but she said, "Oh, thank you." And they talked a little bit, and I waited outside because the guy's such a creep. And she came out, and I was like, we were walking home, and I started teasing her a bit, like, yeah, like, he made that especially for you. Like, the guy's such a creep. Like, he probably stuck his in it or something, or like put his bodily fluids. I'm not eating that. And I was just kind of laughing about it, but I wasn't going to eat any of it because the interaction was so weird. And we got home.
I want to stop for 1 sec. I love that his banana bread is so good that despite being a creep, they still go here. It's kind of like, he's the only drug dealer in town, and they're like, let's go, we gotta go. Let's just go in, get it, and just get out of there.
I also like how he waits outside.
Yeah,
Chivalry is dead.
Oh no, Pat is the least supportive. He's like making fun of her,
laughs at her,
making fun of the whole situation. Like
he's even laughing as he's telling it.
Yeah. Oh, Pat. Let's hear what happens. So they get home with the cake or the banana bread. Pat has been laughing at her the whole way home about this interaction. Let's see what happens.
We got home, and I'd kind of forgotten all about it, but my wife was unwrapping it in the kitchen, and I was in the living room playing with my daughter on the floor, and I heard her burst into like laughter and like screams, and like she said, "Get in here right now, you got to see this." And I said, "No way." And I just had a weird feeling, and I went in, and there it was, a cross section of the loaf of banana bread, and it was hollowed out in the shape of a penis. And I honestly believe that he stuck his penis in it, just because the way he came out and presented it and said, "I made this just for you." And then maybe he did or he didn't. We didn't eat that one, and we stopped going there after that. But I don't know. I hope it's not true, but I honestly believe it is. Yeah, it was good banana bread, but we didn't eat that loaf. And we didn't go back. Anyways, I'm a big fan of the show. I love Keep Canada Weird. Handsome Aaron, love that guy. Madeline's doing a great job. I love the podcast. Keep it up. This is a true story, although it sounds unbelievable, but it's true.
I have no doubt that it's true, because no one would find that much pleasure in telling a story they made up.
No.
He's having the time of his life recounting this.
I just love how he keeps reiterating how good the banana bread was.
And like it was so good that the only way we would not eat a loaf is if we had like evidence that the baker stuck his penis in it. And like actually
and after that we didn't go back.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. I did a bit of research to see like can you screw up something so bad with banana bread that it has like a hollow center? And I think that can happen. But I was finding more so like a soft center when it's not cooked, right through. It could be a little soft and mushy in the center, not so much hollowed. But I don't know. The thing is that there was the weird interaction, and then she cuts it and finds exactly what Pat has been teasing her that she would find within it.
Oh, I think I just don't. And I love how even after all this, Pat's not even mad. He still finds this so funny.
Well, it's
he's
so
probably
absurd.
Disappointed that they never went back.
Yeah, it is so absurd.
It is. Oh my God.
But it isn't our only food related story tonight. Our next one, we're going to have to go from Peterborough, Ontario, across, I think, an ocean to Santiago, Chile. Do you know where Chile is?
Yeah. South America?
Okay. Well, maybe we don't need to cross the ocean. We can just go down through Florida from Peterborough, way down.
I've never been good at geography.
Yeah, me neither. Let's assume it's in South America somewhere. Sophia in Santiago, Chile, tells us a story that is food related, and it's also somewhat adjacent to the glove guy stories, except instead of this man being passionate about gloves, he's passionate about sausages. Listen to this one.
Oh no.
Okay, I'm just remembering what this story is about, and oh man, here we go.
You're just laughing over there.
Here it comes.
Hi, Jordan and Madeline. This story is from Santiago, Chile. It happened 2 years ago, right after the pandemic. So everyone was very happy to get out, and I was hanging out with my friends, two friends, in a street where there's a lot of independent or small businesses. And one of those small businesses is a cake shop that sells cakes shaped like penises, and you can eat them on a stick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to stop. Isn't it weird that we go from the banana bread penis into the cake shaped as penis? Like the intention.
This is what we call stars aligning.
Yeah, and it's when I went through the creep encounter stories, these two came back to back. Like these submissions came back to back.
Oh.
But this one takes an all different route because the penis-shaped cakes are intentional, and they're just like an afterthought of this story. That's nothing to do with the creepiness. She could have been at a bookstore. She happened to be at a penis-shaped cake store. So let's go. And I love her accent.
So we were eating our dick-shaped cakes on a bench on the street, and I heard your story about the glove man. I think I encountered the sausage man. This old man comes up to us and starts talking to us. We're at a bench. I'm at the middle in between my two friends. He stands right next to one of my friends and starts talking to her and us. And I immediately noticed that he was sporting a huge boner. And my friends didn't notice. He started telling us that he is a famous sausage seller and that he comes from the south of the country and that he came to Santiago to sell his sausages because they're so famous. And my friend that's next to him, she was like, "Oh, really? Wow, so interesting." And then my other friend notices the boner and she looks at me like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, yeah. But the other friend who's the closest to him and interacting the most with him doesn't notice. And I'm trying to warn her somehow without the guy noticing, but I can't. So I just grab her arm and I say, we're leaving. And we stand up and we leave. And then I was like, dude, he had a huge boner and it was on your face and you couldn't see it. And then I was looking through pictures that I took that day, and I took one where the guy is on the background and you can see his boner. If you want me to send it, I'll send it. Thank you. Bye.
Oh my God.
I didn't respond. I don't know if I want to see the photo, but I do think it's awesome because in my mind, like the photo, I've already seen it. It exists in my mind, and it's like her and her friends all just like smiling with like dick shaped cakes and on a stick, and there's just a guy like awkwardly behind them with like a very visible boner, or as she describes it, like a huge boner. If he's listening, he's probably like, "You're damn right."
Well, and her oblivious friend trying to be nice.
Yeah, everyone has that friend, right?
Oh, you either have that friend or you are that friend.
Yeah, which one is it, right?
Aw.
Um,
We're going.
yeah, that story. There's so much to it, but like I don't know, I've encountered people weird like that before, but I think in this case, it's the creepy salad of like the penis shaped cake. The guy who's passionate about sausages, which it's already a little like phallic-y. And then you add to the fact that like I imagine him wearing like joggers, like jogging pants with like a boner, and he's it's like, what the hell's going on? Is he getting off at everyone eating the cakes?
I don't know. Yeah, all of the aspects of this really bring it all together.
Yeah, it's just like, get out of there. You're in the creepiest place on earth.
And like, I think she said that she was trying to like signal her friend. So I want to know what that looked like too.
Yeah,
Was she behind him like pointing?
Yeah, without him noticing.
And then like if she was sitting down, she would have been like at waist height because they were well,
on that's what she said, like it was right in your face.
It was on her face.
That's our first story ever from Santiago, Chile.
That's a long ways away.
Yeah, well, like we say, the creeps, they
not
spread all across. No, it's like when we get Florida, you got big you got big shoes to fill when we hear a Florida story. But I think if anyone else wants to call in from Santiago, Chile, oh, you better come guns loaded.
Maybe that's the Florida of like South America.
Be interesting to know. Yeah. Thank you for sending that, Sophia. That made my day. That
might be one of my favorites.
I was like getting this together earlier today. It's like 9 a.m. I was just in hysterical laughter in the kitchen, listening to that. But I don't know. It is a great story, but I have a really, 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 really good one coming right after it. I'm so excited about this story, and I think a lot of people listening will be, because I think there's probably a lot of people out there who, like me, travel to Florida once every year or two to go to Disney. I have 2 young kids who love DisneyWorld, so that's something that's a place we go often. I see the Disney princesses going around getting their photos taken with people, usually with children. But I never thought, like, you know what, those Disney princesses, they probably encounter a lot of creeps. I never thought that before. But we have an insider who's going to blow the lid off the seedy underbelly of the Disney princesses. This is Sarah, and Sarah the princess. And Sarah the princess is going to prove that nothing is sacred when it comes to creeps.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and the creep story that I'm going to share is when I was working as a character in DisneyWorld. If you can imagine, yeah, you do get a lot of creeps when you're working as a character in DisneyWorld. Okay, so what happened was I may or may not have been playing a character that loses her shoe, famously, in the story.
Stopping there. Is it Cinderella that lost she lost like her slipper or something?
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of. I think that's the only shoe related.
Okay, so this is someone who's like an actress who's dressing up as Cinderella. We'll say, unless someone out there knows Disney better than me. I'm not big on the princesses, so I don't know that side of it. Here we go.
And it was during one of my shifts that this guy came up to me with his wife. And to preface this, there are poses and things that you're not allowed to do as a character. Disney is very strict about stuff, and if you do something that is outside of your character's like gamut of things that they allow, you have to respect the character. You have to have the character has a lot of integrity.
that kind of thing, then you can get in really big trouble. You can even get fired. So always very careful not to break character, not to do anything wrong or outside of the realm of what my character would have done. So anyway, I'm standing there in the room and this guy and his wife come up to me and he just drops down on one knee. He like shoves his wife to the side and then like slaps his knee like he wants me to sit on his lap. And so I was just like taken aback. And the people that are there to take photos, they're there to take photos so that they can sell them to the guests after, but they're also there to take photos so that if anybody is being a creep, they have it on camera. So of course my camera person is like snapping away. And I just beckon for him to get up. I say in my princess voice, I'm like, okay, you need to get up, please. And in so many words, I said it more princessy than that, but I was like, you absolutely bring your wife in here, will stand beside me. Also, when you're being a princess, you're always supposed to take the man's arm and put it in front of their body. And you put your arm like through that loop so that their hand is never behind you, because people will grab people's butts all the time, especially if you're a character that's not in a hoop skirt. Fortunately, my character was in a hoop skirt, so it's like harder for people to touch you inappropriately. But if you're a character like Princess Jasmine or Rapunzel, who has like a more form-fitting outfit, yeah, people will try to touch you. So anyway, I grab his arm, I put it in front of him, and I bring his wife into the photo, and then I just ignore him for the rest of the interaction and only spoke to her, and then like shooed him away. Freak, who does that? Sometimes I think people kind of forget themselves, because it's weird when you're portraying a very famous character like I was. People kind of treat you like a celebrity, like they've known you your whole life, when in reality, it's like when I take all of this hair and makeup off, I'm just a regular person. You would never know who I am. I am not special in any way. But it's just funny because it's like this person comes up to me and slaps their knee, like sit on my lap. I'm just a regular person. Can you imagine like doing that to someone you don't know, or have a stranger just come up to you and do that? It is so bizarre, but it's also funny. It makes sense. Like people don't always have their wits about them. They get excited, whatever. I don't know. But I just was like, seriously, dude? I don't know. I thought that was funny. Another kind of sinister things is that like sometimes at theme parks, I know not from personal experience, but from people I've been friends with, that you can also get stalkers in these environments. People who are typically mentally ill or just something's not right. They will become obsessed with you, and they'll learn when your shifts are, and they'll have to get like banned from being at the park when you're there, or at least from visiting you. Like the people that are the attendants and stuff like that will recognize these people and know not to let them in, because they'll become obsessed with like specific performers, which is wild. So just another dark side of the industry. Thanks. Love your show.
So I guess it's all evidence that it's like if you're a young woman, you cannot work with the public without encountering these people. Like
No.
she's a Disney princess, and there's guys like trying to grab their butts, to the point that she's like, luckily I had one of the hoop skirts on. You know, Rapunzel's always getting her butt grabbed.
Oh, and like he shoved his wife out of the way.
Yeah,
to
hop
do
up,
this.
hop on, princess. I'll take you for a ride. It's like, it's Disney World, buddy. Where do you think you are?
Right? Like get
And
out.
who do you think you are? And who do you think she is? She's probably like a 20-year-old girl dressed up as Cinderella.
Oh yeah.
At Disney World to take pictures with, like, ideally like 7-year-old girls are probably like who she's there to like take pictures with. And I just picture this big stinky 50-year-old guy, smells like, you know, fried ham.
Cigarette.
Like hop on, honey.
Ew.
He gets his wife out of the way. I've been waiting all year to see her.
And it's like a fictional cartoon character.
Oh,
what is wrong
man.
with you?
Just people are so awful, and nothing is sacred. This guy, you can't go to Disney World and behave yourself.
Well, right? It's yeah. And maybe he knows that. Like even I know that the characters at Disney, they do have like super strict rules. Like you're not supposed to point. The princesses can't point. And yeah, what else? Yeah, they just like always have to stay in character. Well, a kid can't go behind a tree and see Snow White smoking. So,
Yeah. And
so
like they're not going to let, Cinderella like bend over and this guy get a picture like behind her or something, like, which is probably what this man wants. Like, what did he wanted a picture of Cinderella sitting on his knee,
which has nothing to do with the story.
No. It's just that in the mind of a creep, that is a photo he would want to have in his and in front of his wife. Not that makes it any worse or better. It's just
the fact
nothing
he thinks
surprises
that this is
me.
appropriate. He's like, I can just do whatever I want, whenever.
I paid big money to be here. This little girl should get on my knee. Ooh. This little girl dressed up as a princess from a Disney movie. Dude, you suck.
Oh, those I don't know how much those characters make, but I know that they're underpaid. Mm-hmm. There's not enough money in the world. Like,
no one makes enough to deal with that.
Be harassed.
Yeah, but if you deal with the public, it's what you get. Like, we hear from so many different people working professions that shouldn't be rubbing elbows with creeps. Like one of the first callers today is a cashier at Lowe's.
Yeah,
and she gets basically like condemned to hell and is given soap. And then poor Sophia is trying to eat a penis-shaped cake in Chile, only to be accosted by a sausage man's erection.
You should be able to eat your penis cake just in peace.
Yeah. And you know what? And if a creep happens to make the best banana bread in Peterborough, then you should be able to just get it and get out of there.
Unscathed.
Yeah. No, not Pat's case.
Oh, God.
We got one more. Anything else we want to add? The Disney one was so big. I have so many thoughts about it that have all been running through my head that I feel like I'm having a hard time even saying it because I've been thinking about that story so much. But one thing that I thought was interesting, and Disney heads, people who are right into this, will maybe find this part interesting, is she talked about her photographer being with her. And when you're in Disney, when you're in Disney World, there's photographers all over the place that will take your picture and try to sell it to you. And if there's like one of the princesses doing what they call a character meet, where you can go up and wait in line and meet the princess like that creep did, they'll take pictures of you and try to sell you a picture with Cinderella or whatever. But I've always thought of it as simply the photographers taking pictures to sell it. But as she described, that those photographers are almost like a part of the security team that are like taking photos of creeps, probably to put on a wall of banned people.
No entry.
Kind of interesting.
Which is great. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, but could you imagine, like, how low is it to be banned from Disney World? Like, if you're on the Disney World banned list, you are a piece of crap.
I hope they have a big wall that's like creeps, no entry.
Yeah,
and then
seriously.
Photos of them being creeps.
It's a photo of like a guy reaching for Cinderella's breasts. I hate to laugh.
We shouldn't laugh because it probably happens. Yeah.
And it's probably, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't laugh.
Oh. Well, these people think they pay a cover and can like grope the characters.
Yeah. The world is not a strip club, sir, is what she should have said to him in her most princessy voice.
You can't grope strippers either.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Watch only.
What is her, she said she asked him to get up in her most princessy way. I wonder what that sounded like.
I would love to know what that sounded like.
With her teeth clenched.
Like, how does Cinderella ask someone to get the hell up and go away?
Oh man! All right. Well, we got one last story. This one is this is a doozy. This is another one that's like very cinematic, kind of like when we heard Krista the cashier's creepy customer story. I could really see it playing out in my head like a film. This one that I'm going to call Lisa's Creepy Knock on the Door. This is also like a short horror film. Listen to this.
Hey, Jordan. My name's Lisa. I'm a big fan of the Encounters with Creeps. Recently remembered something that happened that really kind of scared me at the time, and I wanted to share. So this was about summer, I think, of 2016. I was living in Miami with my husband. We had purchased a little house there. It was in a neighborhood, residential street. There were mostly old people that lived in our neighborhood, and we didn't really know very many people. So my husband was teaching English as a second language. So certain days he would have a break in the middle of the day and he would come home and eat lunch and sometimes take a nap. So I worked a 9 to 5 job, so I was gone all day. So one day he tells me he was home taking a nap in the afternoon and there was a knock on the door and he was, didn't feel like getting out of bed to go answer the door. So he just ignored it. But he said the weird thing was that it wasn't a normal knock. It was like something a kid would do or whatever. It was like that, like dun, 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 like that kind of a knock. And, we thought this was kind of weird. And I was like, oh, I wish he would have gone to see who it was. That's so bizarre. But anyway, like 3 or 4 days go by. We totally forget about this. And then one night we're sitting on the couch watching a movie. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And there's a knock on the door. And it kind of freaked us out. And it was that same like dun, 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 dun knock on our door. So we get up, I flip on the porch light, and our door, like we don't have a screen or anything. It's just, our door just opens right into the living room. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not opening the door, but we have a little window at the top. And if I stand on my tiptoes, I can look down and see who's on the porch. And, my husband's standing behind me. I look down and I see this young guy standing on the porch. I've never seen him before. He's kind of like a skater looking guy. And he has no expression. He's looking up at me. I'm looking down at him. And I can see that, there's 2 guys at the end of my driveway behind my car on the sidewalk, like out in the dark. And they're hanging back there. And
It's going to stop it for 1 sec. If someone comes to my door at 11 o'clock at night, even if they knock, like, there's no way in hell I'm answering the door.
I don't answer the door at 11 a.m. unless you have an appointment. I will make eye contact with you through my window and not answer the door.
Yeah, it is knocking on like the days of like answering the door. It's just like answering the phone. Like I rarely answer phone calls either, let alone someone at my door. They're either selling something or trying to steal from me. No way.
That's right.
And then if I look out and I see this like teenager, I'm already I'm already a little more on edge because I don't trust teenagers as far as I can throw them. And then to see 2 more down at the end of the driveway, kind of half hidden behind my car. Yeah, this is sounding like a home invasion to me.
Yeah, call 911. Yeah.
Let's hear what she does.
So I don't remember exactly if I said, can I help you or whatever. But he says, have you seen my dog? And I'm thinking like, no, I'm watching a movie in my house at night. No. So I said, your dog? And he goes, I lost my dog. Have you seen my dog? And I said, no. And for some reason I just said, what kind of dog is it? And he said, it's a red lab. And I thought, okay, this is really weird. I've personally have never heard of a red lab.
What the hell's a red lab?
Yellow lab, black lab, chocolate lab, but I've never heard of a red lab. So I said, no, I haven't seen your dog, but I will keep an eye out for him. And then he just looks at me and there's a long pause. And then he says, didn't mean to scare ya. And then he turned and walked away, and I watched him and the other guys like walk into the darkness. And, it kind of took me aback because I was scared. Like this whole time I was scared. I was thinking like, what's going on? These guys are up to no good. Do they have, another guy who's trying to sneak in my back door while they, distract me? I think this red lab thing, maybe there's a dog that people refer to as a red lab, but I had never heard of that. So, and anyway, I kept, for the rest of the night looking out the window to see if they, were still gone. But they never came back. Nothing else ever happened. But, you know, I have to wonder, was that the same guy that came to the door a few days earlier in the afternoon? And, you know, if so, did he lose the dog then? And then he came back days later? I will never know.
That's how it ends.
Ugh.
Is that a creep or a misunderstanding?
I don't. It's just okay. Fine. Afternoon. Fine. But like
Fair game.
11 p.m. at the same house, random house, looking for your dog. Like that's so weird.
You gotta expect to set people, like put people on guard if you're knocking on their door at 11 o'clock. That's like, no, it doesn't matter who you are. That's nighttime.
Right. That's so weird. No, I'd be super freaked out too.
Yeah, I think I would. And then to him make that comment, like, didn't mean to scare you. Like, if he probably could sense she was scared, why say that? Why not just apologize? Like, so sorry, ma'am. I'm just like really looking for my red lab, which I also have never heard of. But maybe that's just what someone calls a breed of dog or something. So maybe some dog people will chime in that know better than us.
I don't know. And the teenager thing, I'd be like, is this a gang initiation? Get out. Yeah, go away.
Well, my mind goes to like, maybe they were trying, like maybe they were like hoping no one would answer and the house is empty and they're going to go in. Maybe they're just desperate and looking for their dog and they're just too dumb to realize that 11 o'clock at night is not the time to be doing it.
You know, that's not far off. People are pretty stupid. And we're in Florida. Remember, this is Miami.
That's true. There's Miami, right? Yeah. Well, we had 2 Florida stories tonight because DisneyWorld is in Orlando. Now we're in Miami, just a couple hours away.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It could be either.
I don't like.
I think it's creepy regardless, but it could be a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Either way, it stuck with her.
Oh,
she's
stick with me too.
Years later now telling us, yeah, I don't like that sort of thing. I had I can think of a guy who came to my door like 5 times. This was maybe 2-3 years ago, and he was coming in the winter, and he was not dressed for the weather. Like he was coming when it was really cold, but he just had like kind of like jeans and a hoodie on and like no gloves, but he was carrying a shovel, and he would knock on my door. I have a video doorbell or whatever. So like for 5 times in this like 3-week period, he'd knock on my door and he'd like get up on his tippy toes and like look in the little window on my door. He'd knock again, press the doorbell, and just wouldn't go away.
What?
But and he did this like 4 or 5 times, and all I could think of is he had a shovel in his hand every time. So I'm thinking he's maybe going door to door, seeing if people want him to shovel walkways and stuff.
Oh, maybe.
Because this was happening at a time when there was a lot of snow. But it was just like he wasn't dressed for the weather. And if you go to someone's door and you knock or ring the bell once, you should just like count to 15 or something. And if they don't come, walk away. Don't like peek in the window like, do I see them?
That's so weird.
Because even if you do, what are you going to do? Kick the door down and say like, I got to ask you something.
Exactly. Oh, that's weird. That's super weird. And did you say he came like more than once? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like maybe 5 times. Because when you have a video doorbell, every time it picks up motion or someone presses the doorbell, it records like a 30-second clip or whatever, and it saves them. So it's like I had all these clips of this really creepy guy at my door.
Oh, yeah, that would put me on edge for sure. Ugh.
Yeah, but this one's a bit different where she's getting right up and personal with this guy. I think it's a creep story. If it isn't, it's definitely a situation where you err on the side of caution and treat it as if it's a creep on your doorstep.
Oh yeah. Well, and like you said, she remembers it all these years later. You don't forget something that makes you feel like that. Like clearly, she was scared or just on edge, and you don't forget that.
Well, I think we're at the end of volume 15 of the Creep Stories. We've been all over the world through all sorts of creeps. We had creepy customers at work. We had creepy bakers. We were in Chile for the boner sausage man. We've gone to Disney World tonight, for Christ's sakes. What else can you ask for on a creep encounter collection?
You said that at the beginning, you said this might be our like best collection. Yeah. These were good. These were really good.
And this is, again, I say this all the time as well, is we're always just addressing the tip of the iceberg. I have so many more of these stories. It's we need to force ourselves not to just do one after another, because I haven't, like, there's enough right now where we could probably do 4 more episodes of this. But that said, we want to hear more. If you have had a creep encounter, we want to hear about it. Go ahead, shock us, surprise us. Go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact right now and send your creep story. I think we'll probably do volume 16 in like maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll slowly pick up at them. We'll slowly catch up on them. If you haven't heard your creep encounter yet, if you submitted one, don't worry, it'll be coming soon enough. We're just catching up. What is your creep encounter of the night, though, Madeline? Which one did it for you?
Oh, I really like these ones, this collection, because most of them, except for the last one, they're all kind of light. They're not super like, oh, that's borderlining on illegal. I like the banana bread.
Yeah,
it was just
the delivery.
The execution of the delivery was so good. And the soap one, I liked. She reeked of lust and filth.
Yeah, that was unexpected. But I also really like the contemporary creep at the beginning. Brent's Tinder date gone wrong. That just boggles my mind how long that could go on for. And what shocks me about it is this guy meets this catfish on Tinder, but she picks him as like, I'm going to just like destroy this guy and call the police and harass him and show up on his door for years. Was it the only time anyone has ever like took her up on Tinder? Like I would just think like poor Brent, like he could have just laid back and someone else would have caught this nut's attention. But for whatever reason, she liked him.
Yeah. I wonder if she tries to stalk other men, but she just took a liking to Brent, but oh, I just couldn't, like, how are you not embarrassed of this? How are you not so embarrassed?
Because you're a straight up creep. As far as the listener contributed stories, I have to give this week's Creep of the Week award to the Disney princess Sit on My Knee creep. Just because it's like such a good glimpse into a world we normally wouldn't get to experience in the context of Encounters with Creeps, that being Disney princesses.
Well, and I think that we'll get more Disney stories.
I would oh man, if anyone out there was a Disney princess or any kind of Disney employee and you've had encounters with creeps, I would love to hear from you.
Oh, there's every ex-employee has at least one.
There must be.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Madeline, it's been a blast, but I need to wash my hands and put antibacterial soap in my eyes and ears to rinse out all the disturbing, lustful, filthy creeps we've heard about tonight.
They don't make water hot enough.
I want to thank you for joining Madeline and I for this episode of Nighttime. And we're going to start wrapping things up, but before I do, I want to give some thanks. First, a huge and sincere thank you to everyone who took the time to share their creep encounters with us. Your stories serve as a great reminder to keep our eyes open and our wits about us. And to all the other listeners that have a story to share, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch more episodes in this series, and I'd love to hear about your creep. You can share the story by going to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and sending me a voice message. The recorder's easy to use, and if you make any mistakes or misspeak, don't worry at all. I'll edit it before it goes to air and make sure you're sounding your best. We're excited to hear from you. Now I want to give some thanks to Monty Datta, who contributes the music for this series, and LJ from the Dystopian Simulation podcast, who provides my intro and outro voiceovers. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. On the topic of support, let me also thank the newest subscribers to the Nighttime Podcast Premium feed, Charlotte, Martin, and Candace. I appreciate you. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can help us out here in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. And if for whatever reason you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by simply sharing this episode on social media and telling all your friends why they should listen. Your support in growing this is very much appreciated. Now until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
The Nighttime Podcast is written, hosted, and produced by Jordan Bonaparte.